Even though you told him before, sometimes you have to refresh and reset and
I like
recharge
that. Refresh.
and then
Yeah.
relaunch and then relaunch. Just like your computer, you have to sometimes restart, to refresh, to relaunch and reboot the computer. Your relationship is no different. You have to be able to do that on a regular basis as often as you need it. If you see that he needs you emotionally, you talk to him first. And then if you see that he needs your attention, you have to talk to him. So if you ask me one word, is it built into the word style. And in style, there's a negotiation that goes on every time about your style of approach, your style of being a wife, because someone else's style might not suit you. You have to find your own personal style. You have to find your own way of doing things in your marriage. That's why someone else's marriage might not work for you, but someone else's approach to something might suit you. You take that and then you adjust it and customize it so that you can build your relationship.
Happy International Women's Day to all my beautiful, wonderful female audience out there. I celebrate you for supporting the Major Pain podcast. I also celebrate you for taking care of the men in your life and building a better world for us all. Also, I can forget to say thank you for the adorable feedback and the delicious meal that you have been making for us. I'm speaking on behalf of the men. So, yeah, kudos to you. Your hard work and consistency can never be ignored, trust me. Today's episode is titled Making Education Romantic Again. When we hear the word education, what are the things that come to your mind? Formality, complexity, ambiguity. These words are things that we have been preconditioned to attach to education. What if I tell you that education can be romantic, it can be sexy, it can be exciting and creative because it is essential for your consolidated growth? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to the Major Pain Podcast, the only podcast crafted to guide men like you on unraveling your uniqueness to transform the world around you. If you are a lady joining us, ladies, can I hear some? Ha! Because today's your David. Feel comfortable to listen as we hope women learn how to build better men through the golden nuggets we will be sharing and learning. Follow this podcast whichever platform that you are listening from. If you are watching this video on YouTube or on my website, please kindly subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you'll be aware whenever I post a new video. Today, joining me to talk about making education romantic again is someone remarkable, Victoria A. Glover, a life and business strategy coach. She's a speaker, a host, a storyteller. Yeah, you heard that right. And she's the author of the book, What Style Got to Do with It. Victoria has over 25 years in the corporate and business spheres, with 15 years in the retail industry. She has recently launched her business academy and she hosts the Vicky's Impact Maker Chat Series TV and podcast. Wow, Victoria, you are filled with so much awesomeness for real. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Paul. I feel honored to be invited to this podcast and to have a conversation with you and your viewers and listeners. And this is a privilege, and I'm so glad for that invitation.
I really appreciate you for accepting the call, Victoria. Honestly, like this podcast is a home to many awesome wonders just like yourself. And I know I missed a lot of great details during my introduction. Apologies to that. And can you please tell us more about you, especially what is your purpose in life?
My purpose in life is summarized into 3 words. The 3 words are to be able to influence narratives around different topics and different decisions in life. The second one is to impact life and to give people meaning and to establish what it means for them to be alive. Because when you're alive, you can do so much. The third one is to help increase people in wisdom and reflect that in their pocket and in their businesses. So summarize into 3 words. So influence, impact, and increase.
Wow.
That's my life purpose.
That life purpose gives a punch. Honestly, it gives a punch to the face. It gives a punch to the heart. It just makes someone like, wow, wow. No, this is really great. Honestly, I like the fact that you are able to sum it up and put it in 3 different categories that make somebody just want to know more about your life purpose itself. So I see that you're doing a lot of great and amazing things, and it makes me want to ask, like, to somebody who's listening to this podcast at the moment, who is of course trying to navigate just like how you navigated your way through, and they want to give up in terms of just give up in terms of knowing their purpose, or give up because there's nothing out there that is inspiring them. So I want to ask, like, what were the things that motivated you, or maybe you can say, how were you able to overcome the challenges, and how did you stay motivated?
So life is full of challenges, and I'm someone who always believed that life is a business, and business is life. If you can't run your life, you will struggle with business. If you can't run business, you struggle with life, because they are built into each other. And sometimes you could be good in one area and struggling in the other. The bridge between the two is education and investment. It's as simple as that. So you might not be as good in one area or the other, but you can level up a little bit just so you can bridge it, so you can function very well. If you neglect one area, then you'll be depending on someone else to fill that gap for you. So education and investment is really crucial in the way we go about our lives on a daily basis and how we approach and relate to other people. So making education romantic again, I'm happy to expand on that.
During our first call, you shared something incredibly insightful on education. So I'm so happy that you just made mention about education, because yes, that is one word you said that really, it hit me so hard, especially when you were talking about how we can make education romantic again. So I know someone listening to this might be thinking that education is just all about the formal education. I need to go for a degree. I need to get my master's. I need to do this. I need to do that. But I want you to help us debunk, how can we view education romantically?
That's a question that is loaded. Um, the previous question was about tragedies and issues that I've been through that brought me here. But I want to add that, tragedies also come with strategies to move forward, whatever it is that happens to you. And that comes right in the middle of education. So education as a word means something different to me as a person based on where I look at things. So I break that word educate into 3 different sections, or you can call it a triangle. One leg broken and you don't have a triangle anymore. So the first 3 words in the word educate is edu, which is edu. Edu in my traditional language means to eat. To eat. Edu. Edu no. She has eaten. Edu means to eat. So it represents
What language
the
is
present.
that, please?
It's Ewe language in Ghana, from the Volta region of Ghana. So Edu means to eat. It also means country. It also means gunpowder. In other words, you are shooting your own gun, or you are building a country. So it's 3 words that are loaded into one, edu. But we are going to talk about the eating aspect of it. So edu means to eat. Then there's the letter C in the middle. So isolate that letter C in the middle. I'll give you the meaning of it later. Then the third word is the word et. Et is the past tense of eat. Now the word C in the middle, you look at it as a ladder or as a bridge. That ladder has four components to it, representing using the foresight. So C, the letter C meaning to see something. So for us to see, we use the foresight, which is your eyesight. We use our insight, you use your hindsight, and you use your foresight. So that bridge in the middle helps you to make decision between the eating and the eat, which is the past and the present. So now let me put that into context for you to understand. When you eat, you are as good as what you eat yesterday. What you eat today will go off, and you have to replace what you have eaten today to be able to function, to grow, and to nourish. And it's a circle that goes and comes and doesn't stop. So that helps you to grow. If you want to grow in life, you have to learn how not to depend on what you eat the last 2 years. You can't feed on it, you can't live on it, and you can't survive on it. To be able to do that effectively, you have to be able to use your foresight. The foresight can be represented into like a car that have the rear mirror, the windscreen, which is in front of you. So the windscreen is more like your foresight. The rear mirror is your hindsight. The side mirrors are your eyesight and your insight. And you use that to see your blind spot and all of that stuff. So in driving, that is what it is. Let's bring that into the things that we use today, like a phone or computer. The phone and the computer needs to be updated in order to function very well. So you can't use the old updates to progress with the new things that are coming. So you got to keep updating that phone or that computer. And sometimes you have to restart the computer for the update to be able to be more effective. How do we bring that into education? Education, Einstein says that education is what is left after you finish school. Education is what is left after you finish school. In other words, you can finish school and you'll be back to square one. What that means is whatever it is you learn in school, you have to be able to be feeding that. So you remember I talk about to eat and then the past tense, which is ate. In other words, when you are in school, when you finish school, you ate. When you are in school, you eat something in school. When you leave school, that becomes a past tense. To bring it into the present, to be eating, you have to be feeding that which you have learned in school to be able to get the nourishment and the growth in the existing in the real world. So after school, you have to be feeding that skill, that education, that knowledge, and whatever it is that you have learned. This is why the education have no end. It has no end.
Awesome.
Some of the areas that need constant education, pilots, after they finish their flight, they have to do some tests and some examination to prepare for the next flight. Doctors have to be constantly refreshing their knowledge so that when they go to the theater, they are as fresh as anything. Actresses, they are as good as their previous movies. So in other words, if you learn something and you are not feeding and nourishing it to grow, you will not be able to function when things change around you. I learned about entrepreneurship from the village. And then I moved to the city. I bring that skill to the city. And when I move overseas, I take the same skills here to be able to manage a 3.5 million business. But the best way to be able to manage that business, I cannot use all the things I learned in the village to run the 3.5 million business. I have to be updating. I have to be learning new things. I have to be constantly listening and updating in order to be able to do that. To make education romantic again and bring it forward, we have to be feeding it and feeding it and feeding it so we can grow and nourish ourselves. That's how I understand it to be. That's my take on it.
That's power packed. Honestly, it really makes a lot of sense because while you were speaking, especially like the whole school thing, I was just flashing back into when I was in school, when I was in university, and they taught us a couple of things. So I studied mass communication, right? And it's amazing that I learned mass communication, but my class wasn't so practical. It was more theory based. And although we paid for a studio, but we never got to see the studio. We only saw the building, but we didn't go in there to do practicals. So I remember my friends and we had to join like a campus TV, and we started practicalizing a couple of things. And from there, we also, I think I came up with a radio drama script, which I wrote, and then we went to a studio, we produced it. And doing that kind of brought life into the course itself. And I can see that earlier on when I was asking you about your challenge, and you made mention about, that you needed to educate and update yourself and all those things. So it's more like whoever is going through specific challenges right now needs to update some of their knowledge in order for them to have that current information strength to face whatever they're going through, because they can't rely on the previous education or the previous knowledge and information that they have to solve a current problem. Awesome.
Yes.
Now this is good. I really appreciate that vivid description about education, which now makes me want to ask you about some people who don't like investing in themselves, because I know we talk about this thing. I see quotes, you need to invest in yourself. Some people put it up on their social media, but yet they are not investing in themselves. They're just doing this thing to, if it's like show face or to just put it out there, So for people who don't like investing in themselves, and there are some people who don't know how to invest in themselves, and I want you to please speak further about how can somebody make that self-investment interesting.
That's excellent. So, further to what I said earlier on, I spoke about edu means to eat, and then et is the past of eating, which is, interpretation of the summarizing of education for me. To be able to invest in your education, you have to pay a price. There's a price attached to everything that we do. If you go to the restaurant to eat, there's a price to pay. So most of the time when you're walking and they give you the menu, you're either looking at the price or you're looking at the ingredients that are in it. To be able to make education romantic or sexy again, or whatever you want to call it, there's an investment attached to it. In our relationship, in our marriages, or whatever it is that is, or our business relationship, there's a price tag. There's a price attached to that investment. The question is, are you willing to pay that price? It also means that to be able to eat the best food to give you nourishment and growth, you have to pay for the food. Even if you pick that food from the farm itself, you have invested time, energy, whatever have you, into that particular crop to help it grow for you to be able to get it from the farm for free. But you have actually deposited something, you have invested something. So a lot of people want to see progress in their lives, but they are not willing to make the investment. And this is why all the free apps, all the free things online that you can get, they don't give you all the answers. There's something always missing. The next thing is for you to sign up for something else that will give you what is missing in the free stuff. So if you are going through life and you don't want to invest in anything, you are going to miss the core ingredients that will help prepare that food for you to eat and be able to get rid of what you ate yesterday, to feed on what you eat today, to give you the nourishment to progress. And that is one of the reasons why a lot of people are succeeding where others are actually barely surviving, because they don't know the investment that is attached to their progress of whatever it is that they want to do. It takes strategy, and it takes nourishment, and it takes that kind of feeding for you to move from A to B. And it comes in life and business. Everything has a price attached to it. If you are not paying for it physically with money, you are paying with your time, your energy, your skills, knowledge, whatever you call it. So there's always a price attached to it. There's an investment attached to whatever it is that you want.
Awesome, awesome. I while you were talking, I was just going through my own life and seeing how many free things do I have, or how many free apps am I using.
I'm sorry if I get some people out today, and if you are not paying for it, you are paying with your personal information, your privacy, and all of that. So that's still a price people are paying.
Yeah, that's the price. Yeah, exactly. So the price that we don't even know that we are paying, right? Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes,
Also,
yes,
I just want to ask,
yes,
you made mention about relationship, which is something I feel like, yeah, like
yes,
everyone is really itchy to hear about when it comes to education and relationship. So, like some people, when they are in a relationship, they just chill. Like it's as though they don't grow in the relationship. Something they've been desiring, but the
yes.
moment it comes, it's like they start to devolve instead of evolve. And I want to ask in regards to that, like how education and relationship, how is that possible? And what would you say are the importance or the ways that people in a relationship can make education interesting?
Yes. Back to the core message that I did mention. You are either eating or you ate. So most people in their relationship are stuck in what they have ate. So 20 years ago, my girlfriend was the best. Now we have just stuck. We don't know where to go next. The relationship can't grow. We are stuck on that level because they are stuck in what they ate many years ago. They
I
are not
see.
feeding what is in front of them right now. They are not eating that side where the nourishment and the growth is. This is where a lot of people are lacking. So in businesses, I did mention that businesses and life is the same. A lot of businesses just plateau, they just stuck in that level. Any little thing, they will collapse. They can't grow
Yeah.
their profit. They cannot grow their revenue. The business is at a static point where they don't know where to go next. Relationship is the same. So you get used to each other for some time. There's nothing new coming in. It's because you are not feeding. The core ingredients that help you to nourish the body are missing in the menu, and you haven't discovered that yet. And that is where strategy come in. As a business strategy coach, I come in to help businesses look at new ways or new things that they can use to increase their revenues and double their profit. In life, you have to look at strategy. Where are you now? Where were you? So the question is, what has style got to do? Unfortunately, I have to bring that in earlier. What has style got to do with it? There's a style that you both agreed on when you were entering into that relationship. That style is now come to a place where it needs refreshment. The three things you're going to need is to ask three questions. What have we got and where are we now? Now, the why is at the top of the mountain. Remember the triangle. The why is at the top of the mountain. So to go from what you have and where you are and to go to the top of the mountain, you got to be able to answer the what you've got now. Where are you and where do you want to go? And then find strategy to link it to take you up to the top by looking at the why of the relationship. So if we want to make relationship romantic again and make it sexy again, make it more appealing to people again, regardless of what the relationship, whether it's business or it's life, we have to be able to feed that relationship with newness, and then look at strategies that can grow that relationship a lot more by feeding it with the right ingredients. Just like doctors will be learning new skills, just like we learn new skills, learning to do new things instead of going for the free stuff all the time. It doesn't work. It will kill your relationship.
That's very true. Very very true. When you were talking about this, it just reminds me of I don't know. For one reason, I was just thinking about the whole project management field. There's something called the competency development framework, wherein they say, okay, this is where you are right now. This is where you want to go. So what?
Yeah.
So there's a
The
gap, and they
KPIs.
work with you. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly, in filling that gap, and you start identifying the key items, the resources, the activities that can help you grow to get to where you want. So I really like that. It's a very good, vivid thing about what do you have right now, where do you want to go. So if you are listening into this podcast, I believe that everyone has something. Everyone has a substance. They have a skill. They have something to offer. And the moment we start thinking, what is it I have, and where do I want to go? I think those two questions, and you said a question about why. Why do you want to have it? Why do you want to get to that destination? That itself is what sparked the fire, that romantic fire
Yes.
itself. And the
Yes.
other
Yeah.
beautiful thing is, so it sparked the romantic fire within the person, and when the person
Yeah.
arrives at the destination, the person is a happier person too. Because, say, if it's in a
Yeah.
relationship, they look at themselves and they're like, oh, wow, like we are in a better place. You understand, right? If it's a
Yes.
business, the person is like, oh, my business is in a better place right now. Look at all the awesome things that
Yeah.
we've been able to achieve. We are transformed, we have evolved. So
Yeah.
I really like that. I really, really like that. You made mention about your book. So, yeah, I think lastly, before we end the podcast, I would just ask you to please tell us a little bit about your book. What style got to do with it? It reminds me of the song, What Love Got to Do. Oh my God, I got good voice. Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh man,
You got
trust
a good
me, I
voice. You can
hardly
sing
sing.
very well. Good on you.
I
Yeah.
hardly sing, so for this note to kick in, it means that yeah, maybe I
Yeah.
could do a competency development framework for my music.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
What's style got to do with it? Why some people succeed where others fail? I was speaking at the State Library just this weekend. I was one of the speakers, and then when I finished speaking, people walk up to you and asking questions. And one of the questions someone asked was, "How did you know that this was the question that I have to find answer to?" After I have expanded on the cover of the book, someone will say, "What is this book about?" It is a fashion book, but it is also inspired by my mom and dad. It is inspired by my upbringing. It is inspired by the skills I have learned along the way. It is inspired by the life lesson I learned by talking to my customers and helping them. But it is also inspired by the business aspect of my life. So it have the V keys built into it, the keys, the master keys that I use to help people in life and in business. The master key is in asking yourself the first question: what has Paul got to do with this podcast? Then you look at yourself closely. What have I got to do with this podcast? And then, of course, if it is your relationship, what has my relationship got to do with this argument all the time? That should set something up in your head, thinking about what can I do with it. Then you go down on the lower portion of that question. Then ask yourself, so why are some people succeeding in their relationship? Why are some people succeeding in their businesses, in their mindset, in the way they deliver a revenue and double their profit and all of that? Why some people are good doing that in the same field that I am? Some people are succeeding in the same field, whether it's politics, religion, or culture, whatever it is that is to you. Why some people are succeeding there, why you are failing, or you are struggling, you can't flourish, you don't know, you stop. It's basically everything stop for you. So some people said, I want to generate additional 100,000 in my business. Okay, why do you want additional 100,000? If you cannot find a convincing and a compelling reason for that 100,000, you may find the 100,000, then what? And then what? Then you don't know what to do next. So that 100,000 have to mean something more than that to you. Otherwise, you are always going to be needing more and more and more. So you have to find a compelling reason why you want that 10,000 or 20,000. And this is what my business is all about. This is what my life story is about. This is what the result I produce for my customers and clients is all about. To delve into why you want to do that. Everybody talks about why. But why do you want to succeed where others are struggling? Until you find the answer to that, you are still going to be struggling. And you hit the wall every time you keep going. You hit the wall again because you haven't feed on what is available to you now, and you are not feeding that as you go in order to get the growth you wanted, in order to get the nourishment. So you need the master key to unlock each and every area of these things for you to get the nourishment and the growth. So what style got to do with it? It's a fashion book. Look at the physical fashion needs of individuals. But built into that book is a business strategy, which is more like a summary or like a business card. The book is more like a business card. It's got enough information for you to get to know that business and the business owner. So this is what the book is all about.
Amazing. Oh, that's good. That is very good. Uh, I really appreciate you for sharing this key insight, because I feel right now people would have to see their style. Like their style really matters a lot, like how they appear, how they look, how they dress, how they even feel from the inside. And there's a range of question I really want to ask you, especially when I have female guests coming to this podcast. I'm advocating for unique masculinity, and I have I think you are the second female guest that's coming into this podcast at the moment. So woohoo! I need to give you a round of applause for that. So we try to so far we've been trying to see, okay, how can women build unique men? How can men support women? How can women support men, and all those kind of things? And I just want to ask you before we go. So I just want to ask, like, how is your husband supporting you with these audacious goals and purpose that you have?
That's a very loaded question. I can answer it in one word. The word is style. Somebody will say, when they say style, what comes to your mind? You think straight about dressing, right? Your marriage is like a wardrobe, and there are different garments that are in that wardrobe, and each garment, every time you put it on, determines the season in which you are. Now that season, every time you go to your wardrobe, there's something that goes on there. There's a negotiation going on at the same time. Should I wear this one? Should I not wear this one? I like this one. I don't like this one. Our relationship are the same. You have to look at your style of approach to things, your style of dressing, your style of talking to your husband or your girlfriend, your style of doing everything. And then look at the key performance indicators about how you are going about that. So for me, when it comes to my work, it's a negotiation that you have to do. Remember, we eat and then we eat, right? So that
Yeah.
negotiation, even though I talked to him and said, today I'm talking to Paul and I'm going to be on the phone for an hour, he knows about that. You are, after 1 hour, let's say he needs your attention and you got another thing booked in, you got to talk to him. You can't just say, but I told him. He knows I'm working with Paul all the time, so he should be okay. No, you have to be
Okay.
feeding that. Even though you told him before, sometimes you have to refresh and reset and
I like
recharge
that. Refresh.
and then
Yeah.
relaunch and then relaunch. Just like your computer, you have to sometimes restart, to refresh, to relaunch and reboot the computer. Your relationship is no different. You have to be able to do that on a regular basis as often as you need it. If you see that he needs you emotionally, you talk to him first. And then if you see that he needs your attention, you have to talk to him. So if you ask me one word, it's built into the word style. And in style, there's a negotiation that goes on every time about your style of approach, your style of being a wife. Because someone else's style might not suit you. You have to find your own personal style. You have to find your own way of doing things in your marriage That's why someone else's marriage might not work for you, but someone else's approach to
Yeah.
something might suit you. You take that and then you adjust it and customize it so that you can build your relationship. This is how I approach my work. So it's constant communication between me and my husband, and a lot of education going
Mm-hmm.
on, feeding, eating, seeing,
Yeah.
using my eyesight, my foresight, my hindsight, and my hindsight to see what works, what didn't work, what needs to be refreshed, what needs to be reset. And that is a constant and ongoing all the time. You just can't stop. It's still education.
Awesome.
You
Awesome.
get the
Wow.
man,
Wow.
you
Wow.
get the
Wow.
certificate, but you have to build on it.
Wow, that's a good one. Awesome. This is good. This is good. Yeah, kudos to your husband, honestly. Like whenever I see, they say there's this African adage behind every successful man is a powerful woman, or is a strong woman, or is a successful woman. So now I'm switching it and I'm saying behind every successful woman is a successful man. This is good. I really like that. I really like how you guys are really helping each other and supporting each other. And I really want to appreciate you on behalf of my audience to come in and share this key principle. And I hope that the women who are my audience, they are listening and they are seeing things from the feminine perspective, and also how to like build better men, how to build unique men in their relationship by educating themselves, and also educating their spouse as well on these vital things, as well as the men too, just being that person who shows up and is willing to do a lot for not only yourself but for the other person. So, with that being said, I really, really appreciate you. And I want to encourage everyone listening to this podcast to use the link in the description to reach out to Victoria, check out her book, check out her website, and the resources that she will be sharing. And yeah, I sincerely wish you all the best. Let's make education sexy again. It's not a boring thing, it's an
Let's
exciting
make
thing.
education very romantic again.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome.